go ahead and kick this thing off. So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming to hang out on this fine Friday. Past couple of weeks have been interesting, to say the least. I guess we can start by touching on the curve hack situation a little bit, since there was a little bit of conversation about it in the Discord, and we had some questions about our own curve pools being affected, so on and so forth. So for those of you out of the loop and who haven't been following the situation on Twitter, I don't know how you haven't, but it's been a little bit dramatic. But I don't know, a few days ago, maybe, I don't remember the exact timeline, but not long ago, Curve suffered its first big hack, which actually ended up having nothing to do with Curve itself. It was more some Viper compiler issue. It was like some weird reentrancy attack that was enabled by the compiler on certain Viper versions. As far as I know, there were only about 4 pools actually affected by this. I know it was something to do with like the way they handled raw ETH versus like wrapped ETH or whatever else. So all in all, I think it was like Curve themselves got exploited. A JPEG pool got exploited, a metronome pool got exploited, and an Alchemix pool got exploited. Outside of that, no other pools were affected as far as we know at this time. As for us, we were completely unaffected by the situation outside of our exposure to Curve and ultimately to Convex. So we didn't lose any funds there, just dollar value, I guess, from the dumping of those tokens during all of the drama. And for the people who were curious if we were going to pull our liquidity off Curve, we ended up deciding against it, given our confidence that we were not affected and that our pools were they were deployed under versions that weren't affected by this bug. So we ended up, opting against pulling our liquidity off Curve, because it would have just been a hassle to firstly pull it all off and then put it back on and do all of that. But if we had any clue that we might have been affected, of course we would have moved quickly to pull everything off of Curve. So luckily unaffected, all good. The other side of this conversation was whether or not we would be buying more Curve OTC. So as you all might know, the Curve founder is currently selling some of his bags OTC to cover his very big set of loans to avoid liquidation. I think as of right now, and Funky, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that's not something we're super interested in, given how exposed we already are. And we've spent, the past year or so diversifying away from Curve, not because we're not bullish on Curve, but because, having all of our eggs in one basket is something we're not super keen on. So as of right now, not super interested in the OTC situation. However, if things change, then we can go after it. How close are we watching the owner curve on the borrowing? We're not watching it super closely. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't have much to do with us, right? Like, we're not affected if Mitch gets liquidated. So, or Michael rather, we're not super affected by it. Obviously, it would be a bit of a dent in DeFi temporarily, but I have no doubt that it would recover. And that doesn't really affect Curve itself. So we're kind of just following along like anybody else. It's quite the spectacle. So as far as whether or not it affects us, I don't think it does very much. I think we're still optimistic on Curve. We're still bullish on the Curve ecosystem. So yeah, we'll just be following that along. So I don't know if anybody up here had anything they wanted to add to that. Good. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. The only thing I'll add is that we did talk internally about the OTC opportunity for Curve, but I think there's definitely other opportunities that are arising with some of the talks that we've been having with some of the newer L2s, and considering the push we want to make with PXETH and Dinero beyond just like the Curve mainnet pool. I think it makes sense to hold on to what we got, which is a lot. It's more than 99.9% of DAOs, and keep dry powder ready for any other potential liquidity opportunities that arise.
Yeah, for sure. And not super stoked on knife catching right now. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what's going to play out with Michael's position. And so if he gets liquidated, I'm sure that's not
Yeah,
good for the price of Curve, and we
yeah.
don't want to be exposed to that.
Yeah, yeah, like the treasury is in place to do very strategic liquidity initiatives, keep the project's lights on, all this sort of stuff. Like we're not going to be here. Like the strategic asset committee is not trading with the treasury or something, right? Like we're not. It's not that we're not in a position to do it, but it's like it's not fair to everyone to like say like, oh, we're calling the bottom on Curve and then put money into it when there's definitely like other strategic things that we could be doing with it.
100%. Cool. So that covers the Curve situation. Hopefully, nobody here and nobody listening to the recording was affected or affected too much by it. I think the good news is that the exploiter is starting to return some of the funds. I believe the sort of white hat group that's been working on this put out a little bit of an ultimatum yesterday and said they would not pursue legal action if the hacker returned all of the funds sans a 10% bounty. So I believe the hacker or MEV person or whoever the hell it was heard it out and is starting to return some of the funds. I think JPEG's funds were returned this morning. So if you were affected, hopefully you get some of that back. Cool. Moving on, the topic of the hour and the big topic of today is the Olympus DAO swap proposal. So for all of you who have been following this conversation over the past, I don't even know how long it's been now, several months, there's been a long drawn out conversation about the allocation of BTRFLY towards Olympus DAO. And we have ultimately been discussing it a lot as a community, discussing it a lot internally, discussing it a lot with the Olympus team, and they've been discussing it within their community. And we think that ultimately the best path forward is to find a way to amicably end the vesting of their tokens. That way we get 10% of the total BTRFLY supply back. And the sort of solution we came up with is in this proposal, and I can kind of go through it really quickly. Basically, we are offering to pay, and of course we had discussions with Olympus DAO, their team and their community about this, so this is something we believe is mutually beneficial. But anyway, so we have agreed, pending obviously Snapshot or Commonwealth discussion and an approval on Snapshot, to pay Olympus DAO $3.75 million in GM tokens at a predetermined price. In exchange, they will give us all of the BTRFLY that they currently hold and have vested, and we will cancel the vest going forward. So we basically reclaim any BTRFLY that's been sent to Olympus, and we reclaim all remaining unvested tokens. And I think maybe Sammy can touch on this a little bit and what he thinks, but I think this is probably the best move forward for us. It's no secret that Olympus's future is a little bit uncertain. Some may disagree with that, some may agree with that, but nevertheless, the fact that there's even something to agree and disagree on shows the level of uncertainty. And so basically, we believe that giving 10% of the supply to an entity whose future is uncertain is potentially not a great idea. And we think it makes the most sense to reclaim that 10% and use it strategically within our own ecosystem, on our own products, and not leave it to the hands of an otherwise uncertain situation. And I don't know, Sammy, if there's something else you want to add to this and touch on and maybe give some insight into what we're thinking. And then Funky, it's probably helpful to kind of give some insight into what this looks like from, a treasury perspective.
Yeah, should I go first?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so this has obviously been super contentious, very contentious. Yeah, let's just be blunt, right? Like none of us are confident in Olympus being such a big stakeholder anymore. When this proposal was done, Olympus was obviously in a much different position. They did, give us support. Like that's completely true. I'm sure a lot of you heard about Redacted for the first time because of Olympus, and we appreciate that of them. But the BTRFLY did well, right? Like BTRFLY is tens of millions of dollars market cap, FTV over $100 million. Like it was the most successful thing that ever came out of the Olympus incubator, whatever they were calling it, right? The Olympus family shit, whatever it was. Do you know what it was called, Colton?
No idea, honestly.
You mean
Home.
I
It was
know what you're
called
talking
the
about.
economy.
Oh yeah,
economy.
Yeah,
Economy.
never with the French words.
But this is the thing, right? Like, in that same window, they supported Lobis, fuck Lobis, and there was a bunch of other things that definitely didn't um, live up to what they not promised, but like didn't live up to what someone who holds 10% of supply should be, right? And as time progressed, now there's the cooler loans and the flex loans and all of these different things that just like are not what we originally subscribed to, right? As a protocol, and yeah, the different community members. While I think that their comments were unnecessary, it was definitely something that we all had in the back of our heads, right? Like, were some people too aggressive about it? Sure, but the truth be told, like it was something that we should be considering as a protocol because it's just irresponsible. We were just talking about how we're really proud of ourselves as a DAO and our community of everyone for just becoming so conservative with what we're doing with our treasury and not being in a position where we're getting screwed over by Curve and knowing that like we have the money to get into this OTC but we don't have to because we have enough, and everything we've been doing has been lining ourselves up really well. And this thing has just been like lingering over our heads, now with Dinero and PXE coming up. um, this sort of affiliation has been lingering over us. And this is the thing, their position, I don't know what it's worth right now, but it's above $10 million. If they were to sell it on the open market, it's above $10 million. And for us, obviously we're not going to go to them and be like, we're giving you $10 million, like just give us back the tokens. Like, no, there was things that they didn't live up to, and they recognize obviously that this is the best path forward for us as a partner. And for them, their different community members want different things out of Olympus right now, and probably getting some instant liquidity up forth for instead of having to hold on to this butterfly. And then all of us, everyone on this call, everyone in the community, everyone on the team, just knowing that like there's a group out there that could just like not that the price matters that much to us, right? Because we know what we're delivering will generate a lot of revenue and create a floor and whatnot. But we do know that it's just irresponsible for like this group of multi-stakeholders that we're not even that closely affiliated with anymore can just create such a negative impact on the protocol. So we came to them and said, look, like, what can we do? And I've talked with a few of you guys in DMs, and I made it clear that like conversations are happening. Obviously, while these conversations are ongoing, like we can't go in the Discord and just tell everyone exactly step by step what they said, what we said, because it would it's quite a big move for like both of us, I'd say, right? So we respect everyone's like patience when it comes to that. But back to what I was saying. Originally, they wanted $5 million, or just around 5 million, because they wanted all the geom that we had, and the geom is obviously not a cash equivalent. It is something that we could have tapped into for whatever reason, but it was our responsibility to bring the number lower, and I think the number that we got to is really good because it's not all the geom that we have. This opens us up to like tap into another 500 or something K, 500 600K that we can convert into stables, whether it's the flex loans or selling it on the open market, whatever the case is. So that's a nice little injection to us. It frees us of any responsibilities that we had, maybe with the Butterfly LP, which no one likes. It frees us of our commitment to like holding on to the geom. They get upfront liquidity, and we get all the butterfly back. What do we want to do with that butterfly? That's unclear. We'll probably have to go to another vote, whether that's funding something like Dinero liquidity, or maybe bringing on more strategic partners through bonds, or maybe funding that other proposal that just came before this about the butterfly incentives for Dinero liquidity. There's a ton of different options, but I think what'll probably happen is we want to see this over the line. It has to pass both on our forum and the Olympus forum. And then I think it's another discussion on what we do with the tokens, but I'll let Punky talk a bit more about it.
I think you've done a really good job summarizing what's going on. Yeah, basically we've just had these discussions, kind of represented the views that have been made in the community discussions over the past few month with Olympus and Temple and some of the other large OM holders as well. I was gonna say, the discussions have been really productive. Olympus has really worked with us on this, and I think we've come to a good number, which allows kind of the OM community to get a good like finish, and allows us also to have like a nice close off as well, so we can have like a clean slate going forward, and we can amicably kind of part ways. Obviously, Olympus was really important in our launch, and we benefited immensely from the community that we obtained. But the projects have moved in significantly different directions, and I think it's a nice way for us to kind of move forward. As Sammy was saying, the kind of way that it works now is we worked with Olympus to get to a number that they can support, and that the Redacted team can support. We've talked to some of the Olympus stakeholders as well, and this seems like to be a number that they can support. So after so we put up a proposal on our governance forum. I think Olympus will put it up on there shortly, and then after a discussion period for both, we'll try to mirror the discussion periods and the voting periods for both us and Olympus, just that they both finish at the same time. Basically, this kind of swap will go forward if approved by Olympus and Redacted governance. And yeah, then if that goes forward, then the future vest will be stopped, and as Olympus transfers a butterfly to the Redacted treasury, we'll send Geom in proportion to that, and that's just because I think around half of the butterfly that Olympus has is locked in RL butterfly until I think the end or mid of this month. So it won't be all available at once. So we'll just send the proportion of the 3.75 million geom in proportion to that. But just kind of some technical details around that. But otherwise, yeah, it's I think it's a nice, clean end, as I said, and it allows us to put this chapter behind us. Important, but chapter closed nonetheless, and allows us to focus on FTX ETH, which is closer than we think. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, which is coming soon.
Yeah. Cool. So if anybody has any questions about all of this, feel free to ask away. If not, feel free to leave them on the governance forum. Either way works. It's just easier for us to sometimes address them here on the call and for the recording and such. But yeah, I'm excited to kind of move forward from this. It's a little bit of a distraction. I'm also excited for the newfound flexibility that the Treasury will have. I think that's the biggest plus and upside from this, because historically we've kind of doubled down on our own position, which has caused a lack of flexibility. And we've used own products, even though sometimes like doing something else may have been the better solution. So I don't know, it'll be nice to have that flexibility and the agileness that we'll kind of need going into PXETH and Dinero and all of the rest of it. So looking forward to that. Again, if you have feedback, please make sure to leave it on the forum. I don't know if agileness is a word, but I used it, so now it's a word. Cool. If there's any questions, let me know. If not, we can move on. All right, hold on. We're gonna get to the bottom of this agileness. It's a word characterized by quickness, lightness, and ease of movement. Nimble is a synonym. So never question my vocab again.
Agility.
I have god tier vocabulary. Anyways, cool. So we can move on to agility. Doesn't sound better. Agileness is better. Anytime you can use a bigger word in place of a more efficient, smaller word, you should do so to sound smarter. Agilityness. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Bigly would go. See, now we're getting somewhere. There we go. All right. Anyways, yeah, let's move on. So, general updates. Things are chugging along as normal. For all of the other products, we don't really have any huge updates there. Hold on, Sammy, try talking. No, we can't hear you. Still can't hear you. It's kind of a blessing in disguise, right, everybody? Yeah, I don't know. Cool. Well, while Sammy figures that out, we'll just keep going. Yeah, he's probably leaking all kind of alpha right now, and I just muted him. But anyways, so Pirex moving along as normal. Hidden Hand moving along as normal. Everything there is good. I don't think there's any big updates there as far as I know, right, guys?
We will be doing more expansions into multi-chain, so deploying Hidden Hand to the more of the L2s. We already have Arbitrum and Optimism covered, but I think our next stop will be CK Sync. Support some of the dApps there, and then I think our infrastructure is really solid, so we can move really fast to any hot chain that pops up right now. So just keeping an eye on stuff like that there. And then Pirex ETH,
Yeah, that's where I was just about to get to. So somebody did ask, how's V2 going? Any stats on that? I think it's going as planned. I know the partnerships team has been working to onboard even more people and projects to Hidden Hand V2. So I think it's going as planned. And I think, as far as I know, feedback has been relatively positive. So glad to see that. Yeah, if you want specific updates on potential partners, maybe hound Terrence in his DMs or something. I don't know. Everybody blow up Terrence's DMs, or Carnes. So moving on to Pirex ETH, I think I'll let Never give an update in a second, but all in all, we are on the home stretch. So things are looking good. I believe we are nearing a code freeze if we haven't hit the code freeze already, and we are starting to quickly approach audits, which is a good sign. So as far as timeline, I'm not going to give an exact one, and we're not going to give dates because obviously things change as you go through audits and you have to make changes based on those audits. Things change as you do a testnet deployment, for example. So not going to give any hard timelines, but I will say that the white paper release and the testnet release are going to happen at the same time. So they're both going to be launched in tandem. So we're going to share everything together. So people will basically be able to read about Pirex ETH, how it works, and understand all of its inner functions, and then they'll be able to play with it on testnet right after that, which is a good sign. So Never, if there's anything you want to throw on there, feel free.
Yeah. We're actually got back our audit report from Sparebit this week and doing the remediation changes over the next 1 week. So soon after, we'll have a user interface and then we'll need a second audit for our backend, which is basically our node infrastructure as well. So that while that is happening is the time we will be doing a public testnet, so that we can audit our audits, but I think stress testing it in a real world kind of scenarios really way more beneficial to us. And especially for the infrastructure, you can just keep spamming it and seeing if it still holds up. So yeah, we have that coming up.
Yeah, dope. So again, if soon, testnet will be soon, and we highly recommend that everybody plays with it and gets a feel for what it's like. We also hope that people will try to break it, because we'd rather you figure out how to break it on testnet than whenever there's actual money on the line. So have your testnet ETH ready. Are we just doing one test network never? Or are we doing multiple, or what do we think the setup's going to be there?
One's enough. One's
Okay.
enough. We will be doing upgrades throughout it, so that's normal. So like, please don't if something like your balance goes back to 0 again on testnet and you have to restart. That's just how it goes as we upgrade contracts over time. If we find any vulnerabilities or stuff like that, but it should be pretty smooth. By then, we should have a very thorough audit happen. But if we find bugs, we'll hopefully catch them during this time. Just more. It's more for the infrastructure, really, to see the load management and stuff like that of our node service.
Sick. Yeah, there are a bunch of moving pieces to running an LST, so we want to make sure that we have all of those ironed out. This will be kind of our first time running some of these things as a unit, I guess. So making sure everything works as planned is the goal for testnet. Will it be on Gorley, however you say it? Is that the one we're going for?
Gurley or Sepoyo, one of those two. Not sure yet. Wherever we have more testnet ETH, really.
Yeah, so get testnet ETH for both, just in case. And if you have a surplus of testnet ETH that you would like to donate to the cause, let us know, because I'm sure we could use it. I know testnet ETH can be hard to come by sometimes. We need to test properly if the smart contract can sustain a big amount of ETH log orders. Yeah, of course. We need to test everything. Every single piece of functionality needs to be tested. So the more we can do that and the more people that try it out themselves, the better. I think it's also useful for us to get feedback on sort of what the entire user experience is like before we actually go live, because obviously it's much easier to change something before it goes live than after the fact. So the more user feedback we can get, the better early on. We have actually some questions coming in about the Olympus proposal, so maybe we can kind of circle back to that for a second. And if anybody has questions about PXE, to ask those, and I'll return to that in a minute. But one question. So where are you taking the 3 million? You're going to pay Olympus? Will you sell your OHM tokens? No, we don't have to sell any OHM. We're paying them back in GOHM. Will you update tokenomics, as you will now have more butterfly tokens for sake? Yeah, so we'll make sure to go through and update. I mean, obviously this all depends on whether or not the proposal passes in the first place, but if it does pass, and we'll just, for the sake of conversation, assume that it will, in that case, we would go to the docs and update everything that needs to be updated. Obviously there's a new conversation to be had about, how we can use the new 10%. I think as for like a general conversation, it goes under the umbrella of how we use any of the butterfly in the treasury, but we also obviously want to have conversations about what's the best ways to use those butterfly tokens, and we can do that over time. I don't think there's any rush to do that right now. Way to go, team. Happy with the OHM decision. Hope it passes in the OHM community as well. Quick question. Any reason why we didn't accumulate more curve in the last couple of days, especially when price was so low? Yeah, so we kind of touched on this at the beginning of the call, but I don't mind touching on it again. Essentially, we feel satisfied with our current curve holdings. For those unfamiliar, we hold a ton of curve. We hold a ton of convex. We feel very exposed, and we're still bullish on those ecosystems. But like we mentioned earlier, we've spent the past year doing our best to diversify our treasury and diversify our exposure across DeFi. We don't want to make one big bet on curve and convex anymore. We want to make sure that we are placing our bets appropriately. And on top of that, it's not really our place to trade with the treasury. I don't think we want to be in a position where we are catching falling knives. And with the looming uncertainty around Michael's leverage situation, it doesn't really make sense for us to buy a lot more curve, though who knows. But yeah, it's not a priority right now. Let's see. Just one idea. I think when you release PXE, it would be cool to do a bond market of it. Yeah, the bond god wants more bonds. Yeah, we can answer that. We could figure that out in the future. This may have been said and answered, but is the OHM butterfly pool dissolved, or is it live till the seal is done? I'm not sure what the latest is on the butterfly OHM pool, but I imagine after the deal is done, it'll be shut down and replaced with something else. Yeah, Sammy mentioned Arrakis, but as of right now, I think it is still live.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Just to reiterate, like no decision has been made on what to do with the butterfly when it comes back. Like, yeah, nothing's been decided yet.
Cool. Does the OHM leadership team you've been in contact with expect this proposal to pass a vote on there? And yeah, I mean, that was the whole reason we had the conversation with them. They obviously know their stakeholders better than we do, and the opposite of that is also true. So I think, you know, part of that conversation wasn't us like coming to a decision as teams. It was more trying to better understand what their stakeholders expected and what our community expected. So we just made sure that we were all talking to the right people and that everybody seemed aligned on what the direction was, and we were also getting aligned on the timeline and things like that. So as far as we know, they expect their community to respond positively, and hopefully the same is true for our community. What is the total amount of locked/unlocked butterfly that will be transferred, sold from OHM to Redacted? I think they hold on, we can pull up the number. Just FY, the number is in the proposal. So I think they have 5,429 butterfly right now. So
The total is 65,000.
no, that's that's the full total, but I think they mean the total that's currently sitting in their possession. So that's 5,000 something, right? Funky, I can't hear you.
Something like that. Something like that. Close to like, at this point, like 600K USD or something.
Yeah. So yeah, like Sammy mentioned, 65,000 butterfly is the total of everything that was allocated to Olympus, but they only have about 5,400 butterfly in their possession. Why would they be happy losing the best project they funded? So just to be clear, like Olympus didn't fund Redacted. So, and I wouldn't see it as, it's not necessarily a conversation of like they're losing us or something like this. It's more of a conversation of like, are the two projects as aligned as they were whenever we first launched? And I think that answer is very obviously they're not. I think Olympus is also a little bit uncertain about their future direction, as are we. And so it kind of just makes sense to part ways amicably. Not sure if you guys saw TJ founder Funky. Can you try talking again? I don't know if your mic's picking up. I've seen you unmute a couple times. Yeah, your mic is broken, I think.
Same shit happened to me, bro. That's why I have to like leave the call and come back.
Try disconnecting and reconnecting and see what happens. I'm not really sure what's going on with Discord today. Not sure if you guys saw TJ founder talking about how Dinero has good product market fit. At least that's how I read it. Since deleted though. Yeah, I don't know who this is, but if people are bullish, that's always good news. Still can't hear you, Funky, by the way, if you're talking.
How about now?
All right, now you're back.
Fucking magic, thanks, never.
Cool.
Easy. I'm a support team.
Yeah, he's
Never. Sure.
bullish tech support employee. We are not a hedge fund, then why are we paying Colton such a large salary then? Just because I'm awesome. That's why. And I think we should pass another RFF to 10x it.
I think the salary is a bit low.
Yeah, it does seem a bit low given the circumstances. I'm the CTO and built Viper. Yeah, Viper has a bug. Yeah, I was on vacation when that bug got introduced, just FYI. So that version I didn't have a hand in.
But when Colton started writing Viper, he's the one who patched it in the 3.0.
Yeah, I fixed the bug, in the next release version, just so everybody understands. Trader Joe is on ETH main chain now. Will we be doing any collaborations with them in the future? I do not know, but I don't see why it would be out of the picture. We can bring it up to the partnerships team and see if they've had that conversation. But yeah, I don't see why not. Can you cover in an article the benefits of holding Butterfly staking versus holding PX ETH? Yeah, of course. I think you know, if people want that, I'm happy to provide it. It's just a matter of writing it. So if people want a breakdown of, you know, the different ways that they can stake their butterfly, I don't see why not.
I mean, those are two. Like, I think the question I understood is
Oh
simply
shit,
about,
yeah,
like,
it says
the
PXE.
difference.
Sorry, I thought it meant PX butterfly. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are two completely different products.
Yeah.
So depends on your. Are you long ETH? Are you long butterfly? Are you long revenue? Are you long ETH staking yield? Yeah, it's a
I
lot.
would say why not hold both? Yeah, I misread it. I thought it said PX butterfly. So yeah, it's kind of weird to compare holding butterfly to holding PXE. Very different trade-offs. Very different type of exposure. Anything else? I had a vacation. This was back when I was focused on writing all of the code for Viper. This was back in the day. Terrence, can I RFF for vacation? No. Terrence isn't allowed to take a vacation until, no vacations for the partnerships team until 100 million TVL and Pyrex ETH. And even then, they only get a day. So they better make it count. Cool. Any other questions before we move to wrap this thing up? I think all in all, we covered
You see,
most
never
of it.
added an extra zero to the copy pasta.
Yeah.
Is that 1 billion? Is 1,000 million
Yes.
a billion?
Yes. I don't wake up for 100 million.
Facts. All right, so BD team doesn't get a vacation till 1 billion TVL. And I will make sure that they don't get so much as a lunch break until 100 million. So it'll happen. They'll make it happen. The incentives are aligned. Yes, the partnership sweatshop will be in full effect. Cool. Anything else? I think Hot Wheels got volunteered for joke of the week. Hot Wheels, are you ready for this?
All right, yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Well, first off, I don't know if everybody knows Hot Wheels, right? Does everybody in the chat? We know Hot Wheels. He makes the bots. He makes sure our front ends aren't shit.
Yeah.
Anytime the bot's down, make sure to ping Hot Wheels, like blow him up. Like he'll fix it like super fast if you ping him a lot. So just keep that in mind.
We're literally
And
having
also
Colton's salary.
Wheels is in charge of the badass Dinero UI that you guys will see soon.
Yes. So Wheels has been making sure our UIs don't suck shit, which is great. He also runs the bots. So again, if the bots are ever down, ping Hot Wheels or DM him on Twitter, or do both. Do whatever you guys want. Cool. So I guess Hot Wheels, without further ado, it is your time to shine. Joke of the week. Everybody get your crickets
All right.
and tomatoes ready.
Why did the stock trader become a gardener?
Why?
Because he wanted to see his investments grow for a change.
Let's go.
I regret that.
Got him.
I regret everything about this. Whose idea was it to bring him up here?
This is my idea.
Dude. Oh, and people are starting to. Oh, of course. Hoppa's hyping you up. Anyways, again, I'm sorry, everybody. I don't know why people like this. Like, why do you like suffering through this every other week? It's a Friday. It's supposed to be a good day. And then you guys have me bring somebody up here to tell the worst jokes you've ever heard in your life. Like, why do we do this? We don't have perps because we have jokes, and that's so much better. Yeah, I get. All right, so the embarrassment is the best way to end the week. Yeah. All right, well, Hot Wheels, people seem to like you, and I think it's only because of the bots. And that seems a little bit like bribery. So I don't know what to do here, but anyways, I guess we can wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for coming to hang out. As always, I will get this recording up by Monday. Again, last call to action. The Olympus DAO proposal is live, so please go give feedback on the forum. And when it goes to Snapshot, make sure you vote. I think Olympus will have their proposal up later this week. So if their community has questions or wants to have discussion, please make sure to keep it civil and lighthearted and make sure that we represent ourselves well over there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and show up on the Olympus forum too.
Yeah, show up everywhere you need to show up, but make sure to please keep it civil. I'm sure there will be some people out of the loop on the conversations that have been happening, so we want to make sure that we set a good example. Don't call anybody any mean names, please. All right. Well, everybody, enjoy your Friday. Thanks for coming to hang out as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.